Welcome, everyone. It's another episode of LEG TV. I'm your host, The Commish. It is week 2. Week 1 is in the books. Boy, we got some eye-opening scores. Let's take a look at the results from week 1. It's overreaction week, so let's overreact to these scores. Check out the score here. My team, Party Like a Gronkstar, taking care of Dave Plow's New World O'Creaky in the closest game this week. Look at the Clock Gobblers putting an absolute beat down on Shane Falco. That's Nick Shook's team. Dak Street Boys, defending champs, look sharp, taking care of opposite of Adam Gaze. Boy, that's a low scoring output from Mick. First down syndrome in a battle of former champions gets the better there of Avi. Jason wins 188-166. Worms are their money, 168-151 over Joe's 2020. And the Indy Snatch Pounders get a win over the rookie Jabal Soul, 166-141. There's the scores from week 1, and there's a lot of things that stuck out, like how amazing was Dahlgren's score. I mean, this is scary. Let's take a look. He was definitely the stud of the week here, putting up the most points. A lot of that had to do with his wide receiver combo of Devontae Adams and Adam Thielen. Not a lot of production from Tom Brady, which we'll get to later. And speaking of John Dahlgren, I am bringing him on all the way from sunny San Diego, California, to run down this week's matchups and also talk about what is an overreaction and what's an underreaction from all of week 1. Let's go to that interview right now. Okay, with me live from sunny San Diego, California, in a van that's undoubtedly unmarked and surprisingly has a window and it's white. It's John Dahlgren. What's up, Dahlgren?
What's up, guys? How's it going in Indiana, quarantined? As you can tell, it's terrible here. Nothing fun to do, no sun, no beaches. It really sucks ass.
Yeah, well, I heard you were really upset that Pelosi got to go to that salon that you go to. You got bumped, but she got to go in and get her hair did. I heard that was pretty sore for you.
No, as I was saying earlier, I'm more upset about the fact that the infection is spread out here, and there's actually a decent amount of Trump fans. So you can't feel that.
Yeah, it's weird. Hey,
yeah.
I wanted to congratulate you on your first win this week. It was a big victory, the highest points victory for the week 1. So it looks like there's like people running past your window the entire time, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you are in California, so don't get mugged or pooped on. Whoa! Where'd you go?
I'm back.
Okay. All right, so Dahlgren, of course, week 1 is in the books. A lot of people got a lot of hot takes, a lot of overreaction. It's overreaction week, as always. I got some topics, and I want to get your opinion on it. Is it an overreaction or underreaction? I'm going to start in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady is done.
Yeah.
He was, and always was a system QB, and Tampa Bay's exposing his legacy. Overreaction or underreaction?
I mean, I think it's valid to a degree. I think what's going to be the challenge for Tom is he's dealing with some banged up resources. Like Gronkowski he's still a corpse, and who knows if he can get back to form. It looks like we've got situations where Mike Evans is still dealing with an injury, and now Godwin's back in the concussion protocol. So I think a lot of it's going to depend on what we thought was going to be a great surrounding cast. But I don't think he really played particularly poorly. A couple mistakes, but I think he'll be back to form.
Okay, fair enough.
As long as he has people to throw to.
Oh, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, I say it's an underreaction. He's done. Speaking of done, Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. This is his Johnny Manziel season. As I said on last week's video, this is the year where he outs himself out of the league. Overreaction or underreaction?
I mean, I think it's an appropriate reaction. I think he's never going to be the quarterback of the future for any squad. And with the cast that he has, the production simply hasn't been there. Now, I didn't watch the game because I don't like watching circle jerks or things that are unpleasing to my eyes. But for those poor Browns fans, just keep waiting. It's going to be another QB.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be back on the board, and they might as well just win never for Trevor and ruin another possible franchise QB. All right, question number 3. This has been a hot topic if you've been paying attention. Bears receiver Allen Robinson is a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. Is that an overreaction or underreaction?
I mean, it may have been true last season, but I don't think so this season. I see him being maybe between 15 and 20 for the year. I mean, he's not going to completely shit the bed, but he's not going to carry your team. I don't think he's your wide receiver 1. He's a solid 2. But I also think this year there's going to be production from a lot of wide receivers that seem to be pretty deep. And when you have teams like Atlanta who put up 300-yard plus receivers in the first game, they can easily have 2 wide receivers that are better than him alone. So, I mean, he's adequate. He's just mid-tier. He's fine.
Gotcha. Take that, Servos. All right, here's the last one. Are you ready for this one? John Dahlgren's team is the best team in LEG. Overreaction or underreaction?
Underreaction. I mean, it is. There's no doubt about it. This squad, top to bottom, it's phenomenal. Despite the fact that I just lost 2 players to season-ending injuries, we're still going to prevail. Now, who knows what happens with the long-term injury scenario? That's obviously it's a war of attrition. But as it stands today, I think it's the strongest team in the league.
All right. Well, I disagree, and we'll get to that point. But let's run down. I want you to give your opinions on the matchups here since you're paying attention to what's going on here. Let's go to the first game. New World O'Creaky. It's David Plow's team taking on the rookie Jabel Souls Modelo Virus. I beat Plow last week. He was projected to beat me. He was projected to be one of the top teams, and he's already starting out at 0-1. Who takes this one? Plow or Jabel, the rookie?
I mean, I like Burrow as a future QB. I don't love him yet in fantasy. Maybe the second half of the season he can settle into some rhythm, but I don't love that piece. Matchups look a little questionable. I don't think Lockett's going to have an amazing game against New England. Eckler should do pretty good. Kenyon Drake should do all right as well. But when I look over at Plow's team, I think it's going to be a much stronger production.
It's hard to beat that especially Tyreek Hill Mahomes stack.
Well, and Jonathan Taylor just got the gift of the season, so
yes,
I expect him to really produce. And his involvement in the passing game was a surprise to me, especially with all the reports coming out of college that was the concern: pass protection, ball catching. But he did pretty fantastic week 1.
Yeah, he did. I'm also taking Plow this week. Again, it's hard to combat that Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill combination. I think he'll bounce back, win this week. Tough draw for Jabel. Plus, you're right, Jonathan Taylor, he's about to get a big old upgrade, a big promotion there in the backfield, and he is the starting running back. But also don't sleep on Naheem Hines. I like him too.
He's going to be good too.
He is very good. Let's go over to last year's first place team. Austin Stoll, the defending champ, taking on Nick Shook. He also started out 1-0. I said from the beginning, I like Shook's team, and I think he just got a really bad run. Saquon Barkley had a really bad game in week 1. I think he bounces back. There's too many good players. Lamar Jackson, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst. I am taking Shook for the upset over Dak Street Boys, Deshaun Watson, and Josh Jacobs. Tell me I'm wrong or agree with me. What do you think?
I think you're wrong with the caveat as long as Godwin passes the concussion protocol. I don't like at all that Shook has Breida as a second running back. I think that whole slot in his offense is just it's a fucking hole. And Hurst has yet to show any type of production out of Atlanta. I think he's an afterthought there. Oh. And McLaurin, who knows what's going to happen there, but he's going to have some good production at the top of his lineup. But I question a lot of that. Whereas I think there's a lot more balance with Austin's team. So I'm taking Austin.
Okay, our first split. All right. Well, let's go over to first down syndrome. Jason Servos taking on Mick Martin, opposite of Adam Gase, who just got the bad news that Michael Thomas is probably going to miss some weeks. Not very good. His number one pick, Michael Thomas, is out. Jason is projected to win pretty big, and I don't think that's going to change because of the injuries. I like Jason's team. Kyler Murray, boy, the Niners defense did not look that great. They definitely got owned by the Cardinals of all teams, who probably could be a better team.
It's a better team.
I don't agree with that statement. But Bobby Woods, Allen Robinson, Alvin Kamara. Miles Sanders is the only question mark for me for Jason's team. But I'm taking Servos. Who are you taking?
I also take Servos, and I think Mick's going to have a really tough time this season. Thomas going down, Kittle's banged up. It's going to be a little tough for him. But I do expect Breeze to really light it up against the Raiders. So I think it's going to be actually a pretty close game, but I'm also taking Jason.
Okay. Do you think Mick is a possible Hoffa candidate?
Yeah. I put him in conversation there.
Good. Yes.
Keenan Allen's gonna have a shitty year.
Yeah. I'm starting to see that. This quarterback's too inconsistent in Los Angeles. This, I guarantee you, is not going to be here for long. This trophy will not stay here. That is a guarantee from the commish. Someone else will win the Hoffa. All right, let's go on to Alan Nesson's squad versus Avalash Reddy. Avi actually lost last week. Very uncommon for him. He usually starts out the season really strong. And I think he's going to bounce back and beat Allen. I'm taking him this week simply because of Juju getting a lot of balls from Ben. They look really good together. And Dak Prescott going against Atlanta with Amari Cooper stacked up together. I think there's going to be a high-scoring game for the Cowboys, even though they didn't look super great. But I'm taking Avi over Allen. What do you think, Dogger?
You know, it's something that makes me sick to my stomach every time it comes out of my mouth, which might be 3 times my life. But I think I agree with you. It makes me want to vomit a little bit, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring matchup between the two generally. I think they're both going to put a lot of points on the board because I love Edwards-Helaire. I love Julio Jones. And I think for Nesson, Fournette, that's terrible. I would literally go pick up anyone off of waivers to start in front of Fournette. I hope it's a joke that he's sitting there and that he hasn't looked at his lineup, but that's pathetic. And I think Wentz is not going to have the greatest of weeks, but Avi's going to have a strong squad. I think he can make a late run in the playoffs if they stay healthy.
Yeah, that's definitely a playoff team. Just got to an 0-1 start. Okay, so we agree on Avi. All right, let's go over to Dave McCready taking on the Snatch Pounders taking on Joe's squad 2020. McCready got a win last week. Joe did not. Very low-scoring affair, even though he had Aaron Rodgers who went off. But Odell Beckham Jr., I don't think is going to have a great year for Joe. I am taking the Snatch Pounders to pound the former intentional pounding. What do you think?
I disagree.
Okay. You're taking Joe.
No, I'm taking Joe here. I think McCready's got some issues, and the issues are, I don't know. I think Slayton may be a little bit of a flash in the pan for them. I think they're going to spread it around. Some other guys are going to get Ingram involved a heck of a lot more. And James Conner, he's not playing, so I don't know who he's going to start in that slot. And if he does play, he didn't look great. I think Benny Snell's the man to go. I'm taking Joe. I think he's got a lot more balance top to bottom, and especially with Galladay banged up, I think he's going to get production across the board. Okay,
there's another split. McCready does have Nyheim Hines on the bench, so I would not be surprised if he activates him.
Fair.
Against the Vikings.
Yeah, that might change it.
That could be a game changer. All right, we are going to the game of the week. This is why I brought you on, because this is undoubtedly one of the biggest games already in the season. It's you, Mr. Dahlgren, versus me, 2 of the top 3 teams in the leagues, point scoring wise anyways, taking on each other. Anytime you get 2 top 4 teams playing each other, it's always going to be game of the week. I know who you're going to take, but how about this? Why don't you explain to me why you're going to win? Or do you think you're going to win?
I am going to take my team this week, and I think a lot of it has to do, number one, with quality of players, which I know that isn't something that's on your radar very often. I've looked at your prior drafts.
Okay.
But the strength, these matchups, so Thielen is going to feast on the Colts. Our defense looked like Swiss cheese. Tom Brady is going to bounce back. I think there's no doubt about it, even though he didn't have that bad of a game. Devontae Adams, I mean, if he keeps getting 15-plus targets a game, he can set some records this year. And, yeah, I think the only question mark for my team that's going to be a constant battle is deciding between starting Higbee or Hunter Henry. And I don't think, honestly, it's going to matter either way because I think I'll win no matter who I start in that slot.
Yeah, that's actually, Austin was on the show last week. He said that was a good pickup to have a backup for Higbee because you never know what you're going to get with him. Here's why you're going to lose. You ready? I've got the better quality players. Your Achilles heel, to me, is your quarterback spot, and that is the highest point getter position. And mark my words, Russell Wilson will be in the running for the MVP this year. I think he's going to have an amazing season. He's already one of the top QBs in the league, but I expect him to battle Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson for the MVP this year. Now, I do have Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. The big question mark is, will J.K. Dobbins produce? He got some goal line carries and got some tutties last week. That is a big question mark. However, I think because they're playing Houston, they gave up a ton of rushing yards. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have a breakout game, and I'm taking me in very close. Granted, I think it's going to be very close, but I think actually my defense is going to get me over the hump. I like me this week, 180 to 179. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's generous. It's generous. I don't know about Johnson out of Pittsburgh either, and Dobbins, you're definitely rolling the dice with a lot of playmakers there. I honestly think the number one thing to consider here is going to be Russell Wilson against the New England defense, which they picked up right where they left off. Granted, they played Miami, but they look strong, and if the over-under on fantasy points, if I was going to make that for him, I wouldn't put it at 28. I'd put it at 24, and I'd pick the under.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Dahlgren, do you expect to win it all this year?
I expect there's a chance. You know, the number one question is who can stay healthy and what's going to happen when we start getting a wave of COVID positive tests. And we have to manage these bench spots, and I think there's going to be a lot of waiver wire activity this year.
Yeah. That was going to be one of my questions I forgot to ask you. Overreaction or underaction coronavirus?
I mean, in general or in football?
What?
In general, overreaction, but still appropriate because, I mean, look at the composition of our league. There's danger everywhere.
That's already been met. That's terrible. That's terrible. Oh, well, on that note, Mr. Dahlgren, I want to thank you so much for coming on and doing the rundown here. It was great to see your face again. Hopefully we'll see you on the show shortly. And, don't be a stranger when you come to town and leave the shackles of that communist refuge known as California. But safe travels to Indy. Hope maybe I'll see you Friday, maybe. Right?
I'll be out at Britain Tavern if anyone's wanting to drink their sorrows away from the future defeats that are going to come.
Fair enough. All right, Dahlgren, thank you so much for coming on. Have a wonderful day, sir. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
There you have it, folks. Thank you so much, John Dahlgren, for coming on. Good luck to everyone. Looks like we kept this video under 20 minutes, I think. So good on that. All right, see you next week on LEG TV.